At first glance, a perfect life, a strong marriage, a grown daughter, a stable job, and cozy family evenings. Nearly 3 decades spent beside the woman he loved, with never a reason to doubt her loyalty. And then, one random moment, one burst of laughter behind a closed door, and everything begins to unravel. What if beneath the calm mask of happiness, a shadow of betrayal had always been hiding? What if the very people he trusted without question were mocking him behind his back, turning him into a punchline? One husband, one circle of friends, and one weekend that was meant to be innocent, but became the beginning of the end. Or maybe the beginning of something greater. Because sometimes, to truly understand who you are, you first have to lose everything you believed in. Hi, my friend. Before we begin, I've got a small request. Please subscribe to my friend's channel. The link's in the description. Your support would mean a lot. Now enjoy the video. Reflecting on the course my life has taken, it would likely seem, especially to someone looking in from the outside, that everything unfolded seamlessly. Over the years, I managed to build a stable professional life and a strong, loving family. My wife, Bianca, and I had shared nearly 30 years together, navigating everything from youthful dreams to unexpected detours. We met back in college, when we were both still shaping our ambitions and figuring out who we were. What brought us together wasn't fireworks or infatuation, but something more enduring, a deep, mutual respect and shared values. We were on similar life trajectories, and joining our lives felt less like a dramatic turning point and more like a gentle merging. Shortly after graduation, we got married. Within a few years, our daughter, Ava, arrived, infusing our lives with a renewed sense of meaning and purpose. She brought consistency to our days and helped us find a rhythm. Bianca pursued a career in teaching and gained admiration for her dedication and compassion, while I progressed in the finance department of a firm that handled government contracts. Our routines matched up well, giving us the kind of steady, fulfilling life many strive for. As time went on, we settled into a harmonious routine. Workdays, family dinners, an occasional getaway, and eventually, weekends when Ava would visit after starting her own adult life. When she moved out, Bianca and I entered a quieter phase of our relationship, a chance, I had hoped, to reconnect more deeply as a couple. I imagined we'd rediscover some of the spark from our earlier years, going out more, making new memories together. But I began to detect small but persistent shifts between us. It felt like a tiny fracture had formed beneath the surface of what had always seemed like solid ground. Doubts crept in. I began to wonder whether the relationship that had once brought such a sense of stability and joy could endure the quiet, growing disconnection I was sensing. My name is Gavin Archer. I had always taken pride in the life Bianca and I had built. Our nearly 3-decade marriage was something we both had nurtured with care. Now, in our mid-50s, we had a daughter we adored and a son-in-law, Jonas, who treated her well. They were in the 3rd year of their marriage and expecting their first child. Life had settled into a routine, comfortable and predictable, and I thought we were happy. But not long after, the firm confidence I'd always had in our relationship started to erode. To give some context, Bianca and I first crossed paths in college. We weren't especially close at first, but with time, a connection formed. We started dating, drawn together by shared goals and a strong appreciation for each other's character. 18 months later, we got married. 2 years after that, Ava was born. She was bright, kind, and brought light into our lives. Bianca had a long, successful teaching career that spanned 25 years, while I had dedicated over 30 years to my role in finance, managing budgets and compliance in a company that worked closely with government clients. I had earned a solid reputation, leading a small team of 4. Everything seemed stable until one summer during Bianca's time off from school, when something shifted. Once every month, Bianca would get together with a group of longtime friends for dinner or a relaxed night in. These gatherings were usually simple. Sometimes they'd meet at a bar or enjoy a night of music and dancing. I never worried about them. Bianca wasn't one to drink heavily or stay out late. But about 3 years ago, as we officially became empty nesters, things started to feel different. While Ava's absence left a space in our home, I saw it as a chance for Bianca and me to grow closer again. Though the spark between us had dimmed, I believed we were still deeply connected. We still had weekly dinners, sometimes alone, other times with friends. I assumed that was enough. But now, looking back, I can see I had missed certain signs. One afternoon, after lunch with my friend Henry, whose wife often joined Bianca's group, I returned home to find several cars parked near our place. Curious, I parked a little further down and walked back quietly. I came through the side entrance and stepped onto the back porch. From there, I could hear laughter and voices drifting from inside. It sounded like they were enjoying wine and each other's company. I smiled and paused to listen. Then, Sabrina, Bianca's closest friend, made a comment that caught me off guard. She said, "I love Spencer, I really do, but he's heavy, stiff, and barely able to keep up. Sometimes I just need something more reliable, so I use a vibrator instead." She laughed, adding, "When he tries, it's over in 60 seconds. I've started calling him Minute Man." The group erupted in laughter. I couldn't help but feel for Spencer. He was a decent guy, and while he had put on some weight, Sabrina wasn't exactly model thin either. I had never heard her speak that way before. I stayed quiet outside, unsettled by the tone of the conversation. Then Marissa chimed in. She said her husband still had interest in intimacy, but she wasn't impressed with his size. "I barely feel anything anymore," she said with a laugh. "After 3 kids, it's not enough." The laughter grew louder. Someone asked, "How big are we talking?" Marissa responded, 4 inches maybe. Another voice followed up, "No, I mean, how hard does he get?" Marissa replied, "He gets hard, sure, but it's still tiny. I've taken to calling him teeny weeny." The women howled with laughter again. Sabrina leaned over and joked, "You can borrow my vibrator anytime. On a cold day, your husband probably couldn't even find it." Standing there, out of sight, I felt a wave of discomfort. I was disturbed by how freely these women mocked their husbands' most vulnerable traits. Henry, my friend, was being ridiculed, and I couldn't help but feel compassion for him. Amid the jokes and laughter, I was at least somewhat reassured that Bianca hadn't said a word. At the very least, there had been a veneer of respect, or so I'd believed. That illusion was quickly shattered when Elena took her turn to speak. Although I wasn't particularly close with her husband, Oscar, I had always thought of him as a decent man. Elena began candidly, "I'm going through menopause now, and honestly, I'm just not that interested anymore. But Oscar, he still wants it all the time. Sometimes he even pleads with me to let him take care of things in front of me. And I let him." The room burst into laughter. Elena, clearly enjoying the attention, added with a mischievous smile, "I like to mess with him, make him feel like some shy teen. I even call him my blue ball boy." More laughter erupted. This time, I was stunned to hear my wife join in. A chill ran through me. Then Sabrina, who had been moderating the discussion, turned her attention to Bianca. "All right, Bianca, your turn. Got a nickname for Gavin?" My breath caught. I felt a tension coil in my chest. Giggling, Bianca replied, "Maybe something like Bone or Boy?" Laughter exploded around the room again. I sat there, rigid with disbelief. Bianca had never said anything like that to me in all our years together. I'd always been patient, never pressured her. If she was tired, I simply kissed her goodnight. Was she joking, or did she really see me that way? I thought back to the times our intimacy had waned, especially as she entered menopause. She had never voiced any frustration. Hearing all this now felt like a betrayal. My stomach churned with a mixture of embarrassment, confusion, and anger. Then Sabrina chimed in again. Let's hit that new club soon. Let the young guys dance with us. If our husbands can't keep up, might as well let them have a little fun, right? The others laughed, their voices tinged with excitement. That suggestion hit harder than it should have. Were these nights out really as innocent as they'd seemed? Bianca always came home calm and sober, went straight to shower, then to bed. I even asked her once, "Did you dance with anyone?" She had laughed and replied, "No, I've got everything I need right here at home." But now I couldn't shake the doubt creeping into my mind. Had I been naive? A gnawing sense of dread began to take hold. The women clinked their glasses together, tossing around pet names for their husbands: Minute Man, Teeny Weeny, Blue Ball Boy, and Boner Boy. They all found it hilarious. I sat there, sick to my stomach, wondering if this was how they always talked behind our backs. Elena raised her glass once more, trying to temper the mood. Well, at least we're married to good guys, solid fathers and providers, even if they're not perfect. I held on to those words like a lifeline, hoping they'd close the night on a more gracious note. But Sabrina cut in with a smirk. Sure, they're good dads, but sometimes a girl just needs more. She let that hang in the air for a moment before adding, one night with a younger guy wouldn't hurt anyone. The room erupted in laughter again, but it felt hollow, forced. Elena eventually sighed and said, well, we should probably get back to the husbands. Quietly, unnoticed, I slipped out the back. Fury and confusion roiled inside me as I drove around without any destination in mind. I eventually parked at a nearby park, letting the entire night replay in my head like a bad dream. I had always thought of those women as friendly, even kind, but now their words painted a much different picture. Yes, I'd gained a few pounds, but I kept myself active, probably in better shape than some of them. And frankly, I couldn't imagine any of them drawing the kind of attention they joked about. Still, the idea of confronting Bianca filled me with dread. Should I tell her what I'd overheard? Sitting there, I realized something painful. I still loved her. But that love didn't dull the sting of what she'd said. I couldn't help but wonder how she would feel if I spoke about her that way in front of others. By the time I returned home, the house was quiet and dark. Everyone had gone. I came in through the back, and there was Bianca, putting things away. She looked up and smiled warmly. Hi, honey. How was your day? I looked at her, unsure of who she really was anymore. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but the words wouldn't come. You okay? She asked, her tone filled with concern. You look upset. It's just been a long day, I managed to say, forcing my voice to remain steady. I'm completely wiped out. She tilted her head. Didn't you go to dinner with Henry? He's fine, I answered sharply. It's just a rough day. I've got a splitting headache. I think I'll shower, read a little, and turn in early. She stepped forward and gently embraced me, kissing my cheek. Can I do anything to help? No, I'm good, I mumbled, easing out of her arms. Just need to rest. After a quick shower, I lay in bed. Bianca popped her head in. If you need anything, let me know. I love you. I nodded silently, the words stuck somewhere behind the ache. I took a couple of sleeping pills, desperate to quiet my mind. As I lay there, she eventually climbed into bed beside me and reached out to hold me. I kept still, pretending to be asleep. She sighed, turned over, and soon drifted off. By Saturday morning, I was already up. I quietly left the house for a longer bike ride than usual, an hour instead of my typical 30 minutes. Bianca was still asleep. I needed the space to clear my head, to breathe, to figure out what I was supposed to do next. I had hoped that a long bike ride might clear my head and help rebuild some of my endurance. By the time I returned, soaked in sweat, Bianca was already at the table eating breakfast. I didn't stop, just headed straight for the shower. Gavin, she called out. Do you want me to make you something? I'm good, I replied from the bathroom, just grabbing a bagel and coffee. You go ahead and enjoy your day. Didn't you have plans with Ava for baby shopping? When I came back downstairs, she had already left. I felt an unexpected wave of calm roll over me. I needed space, time alone to sort through what I'd overheard the previous night. My frustration still lingered, and a storm of unanswered questions kept cycling through my mind. I found myself thinking about Derek, a colleague 10 years my junior who had been with the company for half a decade. Bianca had met him only once, briefly, which made me think I might be able to speak to him discreetly if it came to that. Later that day, I went through 2 years' worth of Bianca's email. Her inbox was never password protected, so I had no trouble accessing it. There was nothing that jumped out. No hidden messages, no deleted threads. In a strange way, that brought a bit of comfort. Around 5 in the evening, I heard her pull into the driveway. She came in chatting happily, full of stories about the shopping trip with Ava and all the things they'd picked out for the baby. Her joy was genuine, and I was glad. I loved our daughter deeply and wanted nothing more than to be there for her. As Bianca recounted the day's events, I nodded, only half engaged in the conversation. But then she mentioned she'd be eating leftovers from last night's gathering. That hit me like a punch to the chest, snapping me back into the uneasy place I'd been trying to avoid all day. The resentment bubbled up again, and although I tried to mask it, the silence between us grew heavy. Gavin, is something bothering you? She asked, her expression shifting to concern. It's nothing, I said, stiffly. Just some work stuff. It'll work itself out. She came over and kissed me while I began clearing the plates. Though she was the more talented cook between us, I'd long since taken on the role of cleaning up after meals. As I scrubbed dishes, she poured herself a glass of wine and sat down again. Her tone softened. Are you happy, Gavin? I deflected. What does that even mean? I guess so. Are you? I asked in return. She gave a small smile. Yes, of course, but sometimes you feel far away, like your mind's somewhere else. Trying to steer the conversation toward what had been gnawing at me, I asked, Do you like going out with your girlfriends? She chuckled, a little surprised. Yeah, I do. We've got a lot in common. It's nice just being ourselves, letting loose a little. When you go out for live music and stuff, do you ever dance with other guys? I asked, aiming for a tone of casual curiosity. Laughing, she met my eyes. Occasionally, if someone asks, but it's totally harmless. I keep my distance. Then she added teasingly, What about you? Do you dance with younger women? Do any of them ever make you uncomfortable? I followed up, watching closely. She laughed again and shook her head. Gavin, I think you're being jealous. There's really no need. I tried to keep it light. I was just wondering. You and your friends, you're all attractive women. That probably gets some attention, right? I said, my voice taking on a slightly more serious note. She leaned forward, her tone softening. Tone. You know I'd never let things go too far. Not with anyone. And what about the others? I asked. If any of them crossed the line, would you tell me? She looked at me, confused. I don't think any of them would. You know them. They're not like that. I paused, thinking. What if we had a picnic? Invited them and their husbands too? She shrugged. They've all got a lot going on, honestly. Okay, I said, still watching her closely. Just an idea. So, when's the next get-together? I asked. There was a brief hesitation before she answered. Actually, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Sabrina invited us all to her lake house next weekend. Just the girls. No husbands? I asked, my eyes fixed on her. She looked slightly sheepish. I was going to bring it up last night, but you didn't really seem in the mood. We're heading out Friday morning and coming back late Monday, she added. I frowned. That's right before the 4th. We usually have our party then. You're going to miss it? I'll be back before the fireworks start, she said quickly, almost brushing off my concern. But you'll miss everything else, I pointed out. Ava and Jonas always drop by. She paused, and I could tell she noticed the disappointment creeping into my voice. I swear I'll make it up to you, Gavin. Everyone needs a little breathing room sometimes, don't they? I understand, I murmured, turning from her as a heaviness settled in my chest. I walked slowly to my study, the silence around me growing louder. Once I was at my desk, that old mix of irritation and anxiety returned. The thought of Bianca heading off without me, especially after some of the things I'd overheard, made my stomach churn. She rarely went anywhere alone, but lately something between us had shifted. I told myself I'd try again the next morning. Maybe she'd reconsider. Over coffee the next day, I broached the subject again. What if I drove up to the lake on Friday night? I offered. I could leave Monday morning. You'd still have time with your friends and we'd get some of the weekend together. She looked up, exasperated. Gavin, what's with you lately? It's just a casual trip with friends. It's only a couple of days, I replied, pushing down the sting of her reaction. Enjoy it. I just wonder, if I said I wanted to go golfing with my buddies for a weekend, would that sit right with you? That's not the same, she said flatly. Golf's too expensive, she added, her tone hardening. And I hate being left behind. Can you please just let this go? You're making something out of nothing. All right, I said, my voice clipped. Hope it's everything you want it to be. That was the last time I brought it up. Maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe it really was harmless. But something still gnawed at me. After overhearing bits and pieces of her phone conversations, a seed of doubt had been planted. That night, while she was in the shower, I saw her phone sitting unattended on the bathroom sink. I reached for it. It was locked. She had never put a lock on it before. That small change hit me like a warning bell. I needed answers. Since our phones were nearly identical, I made a choice. The next morning, I quietly slipped hers into my pocket, leaving mine on the counter. At work, I brought it to Derek, our in-house IT guy. Can you get into this? I asked. Derek gave me a look, but didn't ask questions. After a few attempts, he managed to unlock it. I began sifting through her messages, looking for anything unusual. I didn't have to search long. A lengthy chat thread between her and Sabrina jumped out. My heart dropped as I scrolled through it. Sabrina had planned the whole trip, down to inviting special guests for the weekend. Talia was helping coordinate. The more I read, the more furious I became. Bianca seemed excited about the plan. Marissa, however, voiced concern. If the husbands find out, we're screwed, she wrote. Sabrina was quick to reassure her. Relax, Marissa. It's just for fun. No one's going to know. No one gets hurt. Bianca agreed with her. Elena chimed in too, clearly thrilled. My pulse pounded as I locked the screen and left the office, the weight of betrayal sitting hard on my chest. That evening, she greeted me with a cheerful expression, until she saw her phone on the counter. Did you take my phone by mistake today? She asked, suspicion creeping into her voice. Yeah, I said, keeping calm. Didn't realize until I was already at work. She crossed her arms. Gavin, why would you take my phone? That's personal. What are you keeping from me, Bianca? I asked, my tone steady but cool. Nothing, she snapped, but I don't like being spied on. Sleep escaped me that night. My mind spun with everything I'd read. The next day, I called Ava. Maybe she knew something. She answered cheerfully. Oh yeah, Mom's really looking forward to the trip, she said. She needs a little break, girl time and all that. Sure, I said, trying not to let the bitterness slip into my voice. Makes sense. The following evening, Bianca came over and wrapped her arms around me gently. You know I love you, right? She whispered. It's just a fun weekend with the girls. I can't wait to come back. I managed a smile. I hope that's true, Bianca. By Thursday, I couldn't help myself. I checked the phone again. Sabrina was still buzzing about the trip, and Talia had confirmed the plans. That was it. I couldn't hold back anymore. I brought the phone to Derek and showed him the messages. He read for a moment, his expression gradually shifting. "Gavin," he said carefully, "do you know who Talia is?" "No clue," I replied. "Just someone Sabrina knows, I think." A slow grin spread across his face. "Gavin," he said, "Talia is my sister." A jolt of disbelief surged through me. "Your sister?" I asked, stunned. Derek nodded slowly, concern etched into his features. He explained that she had recently arranged a bachelorette weekend and mentioned one of her co-workers was setting up a girls' trip that involved a pole dancer. I hadn't put the pieces together, that it was Bianca's group all along. As Derek went on, a pit formed in my stomach. Everything was starting to click, and it wasn't good. A pole dancer? My mind spiraled with questions. What exactly were they planning for this trip? I scoured Bianca's messages, frantic to find clarity. One reply from Sabrina hit me like a punch. "Tell Boner Boy he better treat you right after this weekend, or maybe you won't need him anymore." That line lit a fire in me. I couldn't sit on this. I had to do something. I started contacting the other husbands. I called Henry first, doing my best to keep things low-key. I asked if he'd noticed Marissa acting differently. He said she'd seemed distracted and anxious lately, but he hadn't thought much of it. I didn't give away too much, but asked him to drop by my place Friday night. Getting Spencer and Oscar involved took a bit more effort. They were skeptical at first, but I hinted that they'd want to know what I had uncovered. I suggested they take a peek at their wives' phones or email, just to be sure. Still, none of them found anything alarming. Come Friday morning, I was up before dawn. Bianca was still asleep while I quietly checked her luggage. Nothing suspicious. It looked like any normal weekend getaway. But I wasn't done. I kept scrolling through her conversations. In one, Sabrina mentioned being excited about whatever Talia had put together, but the details were vague. Bianca had told me they'd be heading out by 8 a.m. It was about a 2-hour drive, and they wanted to get an early start to make the most of the lake. I had secretly taken the day off without letting her know. While I was finishing breakfast, I heard the water running upstairs. Bianca had started her shower. Normally, I'd leave for work around 8:30, but not today. I stepped out early and left a letter where I knew she'd find it. It read, "Bianca, I hope you truly enjoy your trip. Lately, I felt some distance growing between us, and I realize I may share some of the blame. I'm sorry if I haven't shown you just how much you mean to me. I'd rather face this together than continue to drift apart. These past few weeks have been hard. I miss what we used to have. After nearly 3 decades together, my love for you hasn't faded. I want your happiness, always." With love, Gavin. Right around 8, Sabrina texted Bianca that she was on her way. Bianca responded, "Something feels off with Gavin. I may need to talk to him before I can leave." Sabrina brushed it aside with, "He's just pouting about being left alone. Boner Boy will live." That stung more than I'd like to admit. Bianca shot back, "I'm serious. I think he suspects something. I haven't exactly been the best lately, and I feel like I need to make things right." Sabrina relented. "All right, I'll check with Henry. He left early, too." Not long after, they realized none of the husbands were picking up their phones. That's when Sabrina sent out the call. "Ladies, time to pack up. We're all in. No turning back. The guys will get over it." All week, I had been putting together a plan. Now, it was time to put it in motion. Maybe they thought we were clueless. Maybe they figured we'd lost our edge. But I had to find out. Were our marriages still salvageable, or had they already sunk? Henry and I waited at my place for the others. When Spencer and Oscar arrived, their tense expressions told me they were no longer taking this lightly. "I brought you all here because I think our wives are about to cross a line," I told them. "Can you handle the truth?" I laid out everything, how I had overheard things, gone through Bianca's messages, and what I had pieced together. Their shock turned to anger, then settled into a heavy, bitter silence. I explained what we had to do next. We drive to the cabin first thing tomorrow. We get there before anyone else shows up. We don't confront them. We don't interfere. Not yet. Let them sit in it. Everyone nodded in agreement. We spent the next few hours going over every detail. We would regroup at 9 a.m. sharp. That night, sleep barely touched me. Bianca blew up my phone with over 20 messages. Her texts swung from anxious to furious, eventually accusing me of being immature and selfish for ruining her weekend. I was emotionally spent, but I eventually managed a little rest. The next morning, I gave Ava, our daughter, a call. She told me Bianca had been acting on edge and that she'd tried to calm her down, saying, "Dad probably just wants you to enjoy your girl's weekend." Bianca hung up on her. I logged into our joint bank account, something I usually handled, and saw a $500 cash withdrawal on her end. That was the final piece. I alerted the others and told them to check their accounts too. Sure enough, each of them had seen similar withdrawals. Spencer, Oscar, and Henry were stunned and angry. "Save it," I warned. "You're going to need that energy later, but not yet. Stay focused." Our goal was to get to the cabin by 8 p.m., well before the women arrived. Thanks to my earlier talk with Derek, Talia had kept feeding me just enough information to make this possible. She told me Sabrina had come to her with a request. She was looking for an elite-level male pole dancer to spice up their girls' weekend. Talia, who had the right contacts, pulled out a few photos. Sabrina practically lost her mind with excitement the moment she saw them. Talia described the guy as being in his late 30s, tall, strikingly good-looking, and in flawless physical condition. Then, with a knowing smirk, she let it slip that he was particularly well-equipped, exactly the kind of fantasy Sabrina had in mind. Sabrina even asked if he offered extras, and Talia chuckled, assuring her that he absolutely did. Sabrina didn't hold back. She laughed and said, "We're all stuck with dull, aging husbands. We just want to see what a real man can do with 4 women at once." That comment hit me like a punch to the chest. Talia said Sabrina promised it would be wild, that they were all eager for it. The men hearing this were seething, barely keeping their emotions in check. Our plan was already moving forward, but any hope for trust in our marriages had taken a severe blow. As we neared the cabin, I messaged Talia to confirm everything was still progressing as expected. She stepped out to call me briefly. I told her, "Talia, I can't thank you enough. You've helped us see things we might never have uncovered on our own. Maybe this will actually shock some of these marriages back to life." She answered, "I understand, Gavin. I've been through something similar. My ex cheated on me too. When Derek told me what was happening, and I realized I knew Sabrina, I had no hesitation stepping in. Sabrina had already informed the women that a pole dancer would be joining them. I needed to know how my wife, Bianca, had responded. I could tell Talia was holding something back. Finally, she said, "Honestly, Gavin, I think Bianca's just going along with the crowd. This doesn't feel like her, but she's letting herself get swept up in Sabrina's drama." I pushed a little more. "Talia, tell me straight. Did they admit to anything from those nights out?" She hesitated. Hard to pin it down. There was some talk. Names of a few guys, mentions of kissing, a little touching, nothing that crossed all the lines. Then she added, "As for Bianca, she said one guy took her hand and placed it somewhere inappropriate, and he didn't let go." I felt my pulse spike, but forced myself to stay calm. Talia continued, "They're definitely expecting something tonight." According to her, Sabrina told the group, "If you want to see what a real man's working with, just wait. He's not just here to dance. If we're lucky, we'll get more than a performance." Talia's voice dropped as she said, "I need to get back. They think I'm checking in with the performer." Then more gently, she added, "Gavin, remember, your wife isn't the worst of them." "Sabrina's the root of all this," I said. "Thank you, Talia. If it weren't for you, we'd still be blind to everything." I ended the call and updated the other men on what we'd just learned. Their faces turned red with fury. As we closed in on the cabin, I told the others to hang back. I'd go in first and speak on behalf of everyone. I texted Talia again. 10 minutes away. She replied, "Got it. They're finishing dinner now." Right at 7:30 p.m., we arrived. The cabin sat on a ridge, overlooking a stunning lake view. Spencer had mentioned it had been in his family for generations. It was cozy and rustic, beautifully remote. The nearest neighbor was nearly half a mile off. We parked on a gravel path about 200 yards from the front porch and moved in quietly. From the back deck, we could hear the women chatting, laughing, and the clink of wine glasses. Spencer gently pushed the front door open, and we crept inside without a sound. The women remained unaware on the porch. Spencer moved to the back door, opened it, and just like that, their laughter stopped cold. All 4 women turned, stunned, their faces draining of color. "Well, good evening," Spencer said smoothly as they froze in shock. Sabrina was the first to recover. "Spencer? What are you doing here? This is a girls-only weekend." He gave a slow nod. "Oh, we know. But before we left you alone, I figured you might want to meet some familiar names." He gestured toward us. "Ladies, may I present Blue Ball Boy, Tiny Weenie Boy, Boner Boy, and the legendary 1-Minute Man." Turning to his wife, he asked, "That's how you referred to us, wasn't it?" Sabrina said nothing. The silence was thick. I stepped forward. "Have a seat. We need to talk." Bianca tried to chime in, but I cut her off firmly. "Don't." She slumped into her chair, tears already forming. Marissa looked like she'd seen a ghost, and Elena sat in stunned silence. "We'll speak first," I said evenly. "You can respond after." I turned to Talia. "You must be Talia." "Thank you. My wife told me you two are the same age. How old are you, if you don't mind?" I asked. Feigning surprise, Talia replied, "I'm 34. "Well," I said with a sharp smile, "I guess my wife either has a foggy memory or she's lying. Which is it, honey?" The women kept sneaking glances at their watches as the clock edged closer to 8 p.m. They were clearly anticipating someone's arrival. Then, Elena suddenly said, "Why don't we all go out to dinner instead?" I laughed. "Come on, Elena. You think we don't know? He's on his way. The dancer you couldn't wait to see perform just for you, right?" My wife burst into tears. Marissa looked like she'd been slapped. That's when Henry exploded. "Marissa, how could you trash me like that to your friends? I'm just a punchline to you?" he shouted. "You want a real man? Should I hand you a damn baseball bat too?" Oscar's gaze was icy as he turned to Elena. "You've humiliated me in ways I can't even express. I gave you everything, my love, my loyalty, and you crushed it like it meant nothing. If I'm just a fool to you, then so be it. I'm done." On the other side of the room, Spencer faced Sabrina with unfiltered rage. "You've made a mockery of everything. Your insecurity has infected everyone around you and dragged us into a mess I never signed up for. I thought I loved you, but you've made that impossible now. Once the divorce is finalized, go ahead. Chase after your fantasy man without me standing in your way." He scoffed before adding cruelly, "And if you put on any more weight, you might as well sign up to be a float in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade." Sabrina's face went slack, stunned, speechless. Then I turned and looked Bianca in the eye. "You've wrecked it all. You lied. You manipulated. You deliberately betrayed my trust." I continued without giving her a chance to respond. "From this moment on, you'll never again see me at my most vulnerable. That door is shut. I can't believe I spent nearly 30 years believing you were loyal. Go have your fun at the bar again, grabbing strangers like last time. And don't bother asking. We canceled the pole dancer as soon as we heard. But since you thought it was okay to withdraw $500 from our account without telling me, maybe it's time you found another couch to sleep on, or someone else to keep you entertained." I walked out, not sparing a second glance. The room fell into silence behind me. The women trailed after us, calling out explanations, but we ignored them. Before leaving, we let the air out of 2 of Sabrina's tires, enough to keep her grounded for the long weekend. Talia was already gone. After a few brief words with our wives, the rest of us went our separate ways. Bianca kept bombarding my phone with messages and calls, none of which I answered. Her emails were full of excuses. She left a voicemail saying, "Gavin, I'm truly sorry. It was all meant as a joke, stupid and thoughtless, yes, but just a joke. I'd never betray you like that. We should have given you a heads up, but it was all in fun. I love you. Nobody could replace you." I stayed silent. Instead, I spent the day at my daughter Ava's house for a cookout. I told her everything, how her mother had actually gone along with hiring a pole dancer. I made it clear that I couldn't trust her anymore. Ava was appalled. Later, Bianca called Ava and she asked her, "So, did you enjoy the show with the pole dancer?" Bianca insisted it was all a joke and asked her not to bring it up again. By the time Independence Day came around, the women had returned. I was already with Ava and her husband Jonas when Bianca arrived. "Gavin, Ava, Jonas, I am so sorry for everything that happened. I love all of you, and I'll do whatever it takes to fix this," she said, her voice unsteady. Ava shook her head, clearly disappointed. "I expected better from you, Mom. How could you possibly think that was okay? I haven't seen a pole dancer since college." Jonas raised his eyebrows. "Seriously? There's a side of you I didn't know." Ava shrugged. "That was before we met, Jonas. We were young. My mom's supposed to be the mature one here." Bianca's eyes welled up, and she quietly excused herself. That night, after the fireworks, I came home to find her already in bed. I was relieved. I'd moved my things into Ava's old room so I wouldn't have to talk to her. The next morning, I left early for work, making sure I wouldn't run into her. At the office, Derek looked up as I walked in. "How did it all go?" he asked. "It was rough," I admitted, "but I'm glad we stepped in before it spiraled any further." He paused, studying my face. "Do you think there's still a shot at saving the marriage?" I sighed. Part of me wants to believe that. I still care, but honestly, I don't know anymore. Later that day, Bianca messaged me, asking when I'd be home. She said she was cooking and that we needed to talk. I replied that I'd be back at my usual time. When I arrived, the house smelled amazing. She greeted me gently. "I missed you. I'm so sorry for everything. Can we talk after dinner?" "Okay," I said. Dinner was quiet, but she'd clearly put effort into it. The meal was excellent. After we ate, she led me into the living room. Dessert was waiting, along with an open bottle of wine. I couldn't help thinking, she's pulling out all the stops. "Gavin," she began, "I regret every part of that weekend. The whole pole dancer thing. I had no idea it was even happening until we got there." "So when exactly did you find out?" I asked. "Why didn't you stop Sabrina or say something?" She hesitated. "I thought about it. But it was her home, her idea. I didn't want to stir up drama, so I kept quiet." I looked straight at her. "And the nights at the bar? How many guys approached you and how many did you entertain?" "None," she said sharply. "I never stepped over any line." "One of your friends said a guy grabbed your hand and you joked about how big he was," I said, locking eyes with her. "That's a lie," she snapped, visibly rattled. Maybe his hand brushed mine for a moment, but if it did, I didn't register it, and I certainly didn't respond. She exhaled, her voice low and tired. "These last couple of weeks have forced me to do a lot of reflecting," she murmured. "And honestly, I'm not okay. When I reached out needing support, you seemed distant. The way you talk about us lately, it doesn't sound like we're partners. It sounds like we barely know each other." My eyebrows lifted, thrown off balance. "Where is all this coming from?" "It was just silly girl talk," she said quickly, minimizing it. "We were drinking, laughing, things got exaggerated, It wasn't meant to be serious. And how would you react? I asked evenly. If my friends joked about you like that, if they called you names and laughed it off? You'd be furious. It's not right. She dropped her gaze. You're not wrong. It crossed a line. I never should have said those things, and I definitely shouldn't have laughed along. I wish I'd never agreed to that girls' trip, she added, rubbing her temples. I still don't understand what made Sabrina even suggest it. Oh, I do, I said coolly. She's already given up on her own marriage, so she convinced the rest of you to treat yours like they didn't matter either. That's harsh, Gavin, she said, wounded. You know I love you more than anything. Please trust that I'll make this right. You mean everything to me. We'll see, I said, my voice colder than I intended. But for now, I'm staying in Ava's old room. If you want to rebuild this, you're going to have to earn back my trust. And I think you need to talk to someone, a professional. I need some distance in the meantime. I do love you, she said, her eyes shining. And you have every right to be hurt. I made a huge mistake. I took what we had for granted. But therapy, I'm not sure that's necessary. If Sabrina hadn't pushed for that trip, none of this might have happened, I replied pointedly. That's exactly why counseling is necessary. She looked surprised, then nodded slowly. If that's what it takes, okay, she said hesitantly. I'll go with you, if that would help, I offered. But it has to be someone you're willing to be honest with. That incident left its mark, not just on us, but on the rest of the guys too. We all had a wake-up call. The women weren't completely wrong. We'd been coasting, neglecting ourselves in the process, so we started working out, eating better, paying attention to our well-being. I felt the difference. My energy was up. My strength returned. Even my daughter noticed the change. At 56, I wasn't sure if looking good still mattered. Turns out, it did, at least to me. Eventually, a couple of the other marriages ended up in therapy, and one barely held on. Sabrina and Spencer were splitting up. She'd moved in with her sister across state lines. Spencer was down for a bit, but he bounced back and started dating again. No one really missed Sabrina. Elena and Oscar, on the other hand, were on a healing path. They took therapy seriously and seemed genuinely invested. Elena was learning how to listen instead of steamrolling conversations. Oscar had found his voice and stopped letting himself be pushed aside. They looked like they had a fighting chance. Marissa and Henry were another story of slow repair. From the beginning, Marissa had been remorseful, openly appreciative of Henry. She even teased him now and then, calling him the best lover since Casanova. It made him stand taller. As for Bianca and me, we still shared a house. She kept going to therapy. On paper, we were still married. But emotionally, my heart had shifted toward our granddaughter, Bria. There were times Bianca seemed truly regretful. Our daughter, Ava, encouraged me to give her another shot. Gradually, we began to reconnect. Some intimacy returned, gentle, not fiery, but it was something. Still, that old spark hadn't quite come back. She says she needs me, that she's still in love. Whether that's enough, time will tell. For now, I'm focusing on rebuilding myself. I feel healthier, more confident. A few women at the gym have taken notice, curious about the snippets of my story they've heard. I'm not rushing into anything, but I'm not shutting the door either. I'm open to where life might lead. Looking back, it's all a blur of anger, sorrow, and unexpected strength. These last few months rocked the foundation of my marriage in ways I never expected. I was forced to examine the fractures we had ignored for too long, the emotional distance, the slow erosion of intimacy. I had believed our bond was unbreakable. We'd raised a child, supported each other through challenges. But this proved how even solid relationships can crack silently. Betrayal doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes it's the quiet dismissal of trust. Through it all, I also realized how much of myself I had put aside. My wants, my happiness. I'd clung to the security of routine, but that same routine had drained the vitality from both our marriage and me. I had poured everything into my job and family without pausing to ask what I needed. As strange as it sounds, this upheaval became the catalyst for rediscovery. I had to ask myself what kind of love I truly wanted and whether I believed I deserved it. The nights were the worst. Alone in my daughter's old room, I'd replay memories, those long talks with Bianca about dreams, our laughter in the dark. There had been love there once. Maybe it could come back. I don't know. But what I do know is this. I'm no longer afraid to want more. There are moments when I question whether the memories I carry were ever real or simply hopeful illusions built from a connection I needed to believe in. Betrayal doesn't just hurt. It fractures your entire understanding of truth. Suddenly, the trust you placed in someone, the vulnerability you offered, even the most heartfelt words, all of it starts to feel suspect. Through all of this emotional upheaval, my daughter Ava has been my constant. Her gentle resilience, unwavering empathy, and deep belief in the strength of family have anchored me through the storm. Yet even she couldn't conceal the sorrow and disappointment she felt toward her mother. One of the hardest things has been watching Ava come to terms with a shattered image of her parents, grappling with the realization that the foundation she leaned on has shifted beneath her feet. Now, as I observe Ava nurturing her own family, I feel a quiet obligation to lead by example, to show what it means to rise from pain with dignity, to extend grace even when hurt is still fresh. Seeking therapy was part of that commitment. Bianca agreed to begin the process as well, opening herself to difficult truths and confronting not just her actions, but the wounds behind them. We started with joint sessions, hoping they might mend the widening distance between us. But over time, it became clear I needed to focus inward, to rediscover who I was apart from our shared suffering. Healing doesn't arrive in straight lines. It's layered and unpredictable, and no amount of wanting can speed it along. Surprisingly, the connection I've found with other men navigating similar situations has become a source of unexpected comfort. Just knowing I wasn't alone eased some of the weight. Together, we've been slowly piecing ourselves back together, reclaiming neglected parts of ourselves, building new identities beyond the roles we once played. Each of us has found our own rhythm, started seeing our worth anew, and learned to find meaning in a life no longer defined by a fractured marriage. As for Bianca and me, our future remains undefined. We still share the same space, move through the routines of daily life together, but trust feels fragile, like glass just beginning to reform. She speaks of love, of regret, of wanting to repair the damage, but words can't touch the deepest fractures within me. If there's to be any rebuilding, it will require time, vulnerability, and a depth of honesty we never quite reached before. I honestly don't know if we'll find our way back. In the meantime, my granddaughter Bria has become a bright light in the darkness, a vivid reminder that love, in its purest form, still exists. Being around her, seeing the world through her fresh and open eyes, has rekindled a spark in me. Even on the hardest days, she reminds me that joy is still within reach. Each morning presents a choice, to remain in anger or to inch forward, however slowly, however painfully. And I'm choosing forward, not just for myself, but for the hope of healing, for the possibility that peace might still be attainable. I can't see the road ahead with clarity, but I can keep walking with intention, humility, and openness. This path has been anything but easy, but each step reshapes the way I view everything. Betrayal doesn't vanish, it transforms. It shifts how you see yourself, your partner, and the life you thought you knew. In the beginning, I was swallowed by rage and disbelief. I couldn't fathom how someone I trusted so deeply could make light of what we had built. But gradually, that fury gave way to something steadier, a quiet strength, a renewed determination to rebuild not just our relationship, but my sense of self. Therapy, though often grueling, began peeling away layers I had long buried. During one particularly raw session, seated across from Bianca, I listened as she admitted to feelings of loneliness, invisibility, and uncertainty about where we stood. I began to understand how I, too, had withdrawn, retreating from conflict, internalizing resentment, and allowing silence to grow in place of dialogue. The erosion of our intimacy hadn't happened overnight, and it wasn't hers alone to bear. Realizing that brought an unexpected relief. The damage was mutual, the neglect shared. There's one session I won't forget. Through tears, Bianca confessed she didn't fully understand why she allowed herself to even flirt with crossing lines, why she sought something new in a life she feared had become dull. She was torn between craving vitality and fearing that we had become stagnant. Her honesty, though painful, broke open a truth I hadn't wanted to face. We'd both been clinging to outdated versions of each other, trying to relive a past instead of embracing who we are now. That realization, as hard as it was, helped me see her not just as my wife, but as a flawed, vulnerable person with her own fears. In parallel, I began a journey of self-renewal, reconnecting with old friends, reviving lost interests, and even setting new personal challenges. I never thought the gym would become such a central part of that, but it has. There's a quiet empowerment in pushing my body, especially among people half my age. Every workout feels like reclaiming a part of myself I thought was gone, not out of vanity, but to feel alive again. Bianca has noticed. Her demeanor has softened. Her small gestures feel more thoughtful. A gentle presence is returning between us, a cautious effort to rebuild the closeness that once defined us. We're not back to where we were. The depth of intimacy hasn't fully returned. But there are fleeting moments, a knowing glance, a shared laugh, a light touch, that whisper of what might still be possible. Still, doubt persists. I often wonder if her remorse runs deep enough, if these changes are permanent, if trust can truly be restored. There are times when the urge to check her phone almost overwhelms me, a desperate impulse to confirm that she's all in. But I stop myself. If I'm serious about healing, I have to let go of control, step away from being the constant observer. I'm beginning to realize that real recovery is rooted in trust, not just in her, but in my own strength to handle whatever may come, even if that includes fresh wounds. Our conversations have started to shift too. They've grown deeper, more candid. We're finally confronting subjects we used to sidestep entirely. We talk now about the fears that come with aging, the disappointments we've nursed silently, and the hopes we still carry for what lies ahead. These exchanges aren't smooth, some of them cut deep, but they feel necessary. Bit by bit, we're dismantling the walls we built around ourselves, trying to meet each other again with fresh eyes. There's a delicate kind of optimism in these talks, a raw honesty that's both uncomfortable and real. And perhaps the biggest surprise is the way my understanding of forgiveness is evolving. It's no longer just a gift I extend to Bianca. It's become a path to my own liberation. Clinging to resentment is like dragging a weight that never lightens, tying me to a story I no longer want to live in. Choosing to forgive is how I begin to move forward, not by erasing the betrayal, but by refusing to be defined by it. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the pain didn't happen. It means refusing to let it hold power over me anymore. I still have moments when the old anger resurfaces, when suspicion creeps back in. But those moments are fewer now. Little by little, I'm learning to let compassion take the place of resentment, to meet uncertainty with patience instead of fear. This isn't about rewriting history. It's about building a new future shaped by the lessons we've pulled from the wreckage. It's about discovering a love that's tougher, more grounded, a love that makes room for imperfection and honors the scars we both carry. Looking back at all we've endured, I feel something I never expected, a sense of gratitude. As painful as this has been, It's led me back to myself, to the values I almost forgot, to a sense of purpose I thought I'd lost. It's shown me how resilient I am, how much capacity for love still lives inside me, both for myself and for others. As for what becomes of Bianca and me, only time will tell. But no matter where this leads, I know I'll emerge from this chapter more grounded, more aware, and more in tune with what truly matters. Though our first story ends here, a new one is about to unfold. Stick around and let's get started. The pale light of early morning and the bright chirps of mountain bluebirds gently pulled me from sleep. Just outside the tent, the soft rustling and quick scrabbling of tiny creatures, probably chipmunks, picking through the remnants of my freeze-dried meal, filled the crisp mountain air. I briefly basked in the serene comfort of being back in nature after so long, but that peace quickly gave way to the pressing weight of the day ahead. At 6,000 feet, the cold clung to the air, sharp and clean. Still, as I emerged from the tent, the breathtaking view of the alpine lake bordered by snowy ridges instantly stole my breath. A part of me longed to stay, to cast a fly into the calm water and let the morning drift away untouched by time. But I couldn't afford that luxury. This day carried a burden I had long dreaded, one I finally had to face if I wanted any chance at healing. I cobbled together a simple breakfast, some eggs and sausage cooked over the propane flame, and brewed a strong, bitter cup of coffee. As I ate and packed for the 6-mile hike back down, I paused to take in the stillness around me, clinging to the truth that even after all the hurt, the world still held beauty, if I chose to keep moving forward with intention and hope. I knew I would eventually return to the things that once brought me joy: hiking, sailing, fishing, camping, the passions I had pushed aside over the course of my 23-year marriage. A marriage I had once believed was built on unshakable love, or at least that's what I had convinced myself for years. Now, I carried a fragile hope that someone else might one day step into that role. The trail was smooth and quiet, and I didn't encounter a single person on the way down. When I reached the trailhead, I loaded up the car and steered toward the highway. My phone had been off for 3 days, free from the buzz and pull of the outside world. I knew the moment I reconnected, the floodgates would open: texts, missed calls, voicemails. And sure enough, as I turned onto the county road, the first notification pinged. It was a message from Ryan, my 21-year-old son. Not just my child, but my confidant. The bond between us hardened and deepened by the fires of his turbulent teenage years. His message was steady and clear. "Dad, I love you. I've got your back. Stay strong today." That message cracked something inside me, let in a sliver of light. His words gave me the strength I needed to face the hours ahead. The next message was from my daughter, Krista, another anchor in the storm. "Dad, I wish I could hug you right now. Everything will be okay. You've always been the best father. It's your turn to take care of you. Ryan and I are behind you, always." Krista would always be my little girl, the one who bore her mother's youthful beauty but carried my love for wild places, my sense of humor, my hunger for adventure, traits Linda had never fully understood. No matter what else fell apart, the greatest gifts from my marriage were my children, 2 souls I loved more than life itself, who gave me reason to believe in something beyond the wreckage. I pulled into a rest stop and finally opened the backlog of messages. There were 10 missed calls from Linda. Most had come while she was supposedly away on business, a banking convention in Las Vegas. The others had followed her return, starting last night and again that morning. I could picture her rage when I wasn't waiting for her at the airport, when none of her messages were returned. I didn't bother listening to the voicemails. I deleted them all in silence. Then came the texts, nearly 20 of them. The first few were dripping with declarations of love. Ridiculous, I thought, probably an attempt to dull the edge of her guilt. But the tone shifted quickly, from pleading to sharp and demanding. The last few seethed with frustration, accusing me of abandoning her, of leaving her stranded and alone at the terminal for over an hour before she realized I wasn't coming. The final one was brief and blazing with fury. "With Jack!" screamed in all caps. Everything between us had changed, sharply, painfully, in just a handful of weeks. But I doubted she could even begin to grasp how much had already died in me. The affection I once held for her, once vivid and fierce, had withered down to embers. I still couldn't understand how she had drifted so far, so quickly, in just 4 months. Could she really not see the sorrow etched across my face? Was she truly blind to the damage she had done? It wasn't just the affair that wrecked me. It was the disregard, the casual dismissal of our history, our family, the life we had built. That, more than her betrayal, left me hollow. At 44, Linda remained striking, a figure that turned heads, long legs and graceful curves, a woman who could light up a room whether in a cocktail dress or her tailored work attire at the trust division of U.S. Commerce Bank. I had always felt proud to be beside her, to see the attention she drew and know she chose me. I never stopped reminding her how stunning she was, how magnetic. But she'd wave it off, saying she didn't feel young anymore, didn't believe she still had it. I knew her doubts lingered just beneath the surface, and I did my best to reassure her, to bolster her confidence. But she always dismissed it. "You only say that because you're my husband." Maybe somewhere in those quiet insecurities, in that fear of fading beauty, lay the seeds of her betrayal. Or maybe it was something deeper. I'll probably never know. Perhaps she doesn't either. Somehow, her younger manager, John Monroe, had become her focus. Whether emotionally or just physically, I'll never know for sure. And me? I'd apparently been reduced to a familiar background presence, reliable but irrelevant. If I was honest with myself, I wasn't sure we could even be called friends anymore. But as usual, she didn't seem to see that either. John Monroe was never short on cash. His role as vice president of the trust division guaranteed that. He was tall, all limbs and angles, and moved through the world with the kind of unshakable confidence that made him unbearable to be around. Every time we crossed paths, I felt like I needed to exhale afterward. But Linda? She talked about him like he was some kind of saint. That was back when she still confided in me about her work, and about him. Then, one day, all talk of her office life stopped. That was 4 months ago. Looking back, I see now that was probably when the affair started, when our 23-year marriage began to quietly fracture. I pushed the thought away, swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat, looked back at my phone, and, jaw tight, wiped every one of her messages. After that, I turned my attention to my email. There it was, a message from my lawyer, confirming the papers had all gone through, just like we'd planned. Another notification popped up, Snapchat this time. I opened it. The message said the guy I'd been asking about had been assaulted in a mugging. One testicle crushed, knee destroyed. As soon as I read it, the message vanished. Then I saw an email from HR. My resignation had been officially accepted. My retirement funds and stocks were liquidated and wired to my new account. The tax bite would hurt, but I'd be financially fine for a while. None of it mattered anymore. I was done. I needed to vanish. I was about to merge onto the highway when my phone lit up with a call from Linda. Her name glowing on the screen felt like a punch. I figured now was as good a time as any. Better to rip the bandage off quickly. I pulled the car into a quiet patch of the rest stop, killed the engine, and answered, keeping my tone flat. "Hey, Linda, what's going on?" "What's going on? Are you seriously asking me that right now?" she snapped. "Where are you? You didn't show up at the airport. You're not home. No note, no call, no messages. I've been trying to reach you for days. What the hell is going on, Jack?" I stayed calm, kept my voice even. "Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing." Honestly, I figured my silence wouldn't bother you much. Maybe even gave you time to tidy things up, slip back into your roles. Wife, mom, daughter-in-law, pretender. Oh, so this is how your fantasy plays out? She shot back, accusing me of living some kind of double life? Aren't you? I said. You're always on the road. Always another work trip, another seminar. So tell me, why haven't the kids answered your calls lately? And can you explain why the bed from our room is gone? I had to sleep in the guest room last night. You think that's normal? Also, why the hell was I supposed to pick you up from the airport like everything's fine? I feel like I'm losing my mind, she said, her voice shaky and full of disbelief. None of this is making sense. It's like I woke up in someone else's life. No, Linda, I replied coolly. This is the life you built. You dragged all of us into it, whether we wanted to be there or not. Her anger was unraveling now. I could hear it. The fight in her voice was softening, replaced by unease. What are you even saying? She asked, her voice smaller now. Where are you? Just tell me what's going on. Doesn't really matter where I am, I said. What matters is where I'm not. I'm not at home. I've been busy these past few days, figuring out how to move on from the train wreck that used to be my life. I'm done looking back. She paused, confused. You're scaring me. Are you drunk? Nope. Completely sober. Let's start with something basic. That 3-day banking seminar. Did Monroe share your hotel bed the whole time or just mornings and nights? She went silent. I could practically hear the air leave her lungs. Seconds passed before she spoke again. What are you accusing me of? John, what? Monroe? What are you even talking about? Her voice cracked. I'm your wife. Yeah, on paper, I said. Though it's wild you still believe that title means anything now. I took a breath. I'm asking for one thing, Linda. After more than 2 decades together, can you at least tell me the truth? You've barely acknowledged me or the kids for months. Now that the lies are falling apart, can't you give us a little honesty? Just one honest word. I don't know what story you've told yourself, she whispered. But it's wrong. I love you, Jack. That's the truth. There's nothing between me and John Monroe. Well, that's the first time you actually confirmed who I was talking about. Makes me wonder how many other Johns there are, I said, letting the sarcasm hang in the air like smoke. What was your plan? Keep the secret until it exploded? Or were you hoping I'd just be too tired to care? You could have saved us all a lot of heartache if you'd just been honest from the beginning. She broke. Jack, she gasped, tears now pouring through her voice. Please, don't say divorce. Please, I swear there's nothing going on. I love you. Come home. We can talk about everything. Just come back. It was obvious she still believed I didn't have proof, that I was only guessing. So she clung to the lie. So, you're really going to stand there and deny ever sleeping with Monroe in our bedroom, on the now mysteriously missing king-sized mattress? What? No, that's insane. Where is this even coming from? Don't hang up, Linda. Just stay on the line. I tapped my screen and opened the image. John Monroe behind Linda as she knelt on the mattress, face contorted in ecstasy, his expression raw with lust and exertion. It was just one among the many pieces of proof I'd collected over the past month, using a discreet camera hidden inside the dresser clock, planted there after my suspicions began. I hit send without a second thought and returned to the call. Linda, check your messages. Look at the photo I just sent you. Tell me that isn't you, my wife, right there in our bedroom, on the bed we shared, with your boss inside you, no protection, nothing, just betrayal. The only response was the sharp thud of the phone hitting the ground, followed by the broken sound of her crying. Oh God, Jack. No. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, let me explain. It was a mistake. I swear it only happened once. Just once. He was young. He paid attention. He made me feel like I mattered again. I felt alive. But it didn't mean anything. I never intended to hurt you. I didn't think it would spiral like this. I hate what I did. I really do. But Jack? Linda, I snapped, cutting her off. Go look out the back window. Focus on the middle of the yard. What do you see? Silence. That heap of charred metal and scorched wood, that's all that's left of our mattress. I burned it. Just like you incinerated what we had, our marriage, our trust, everything we built. When did you start resenting me enough to betray me like this? When did I stop being someone you cared about? When did you decide I no longer mattered? Jack, please, I'm begging you, she cried. I still love you. I never stopped. I didn't cheat because I didn't love you. I was confused. I didn't think straight. I want to fix this. I want us back. That night, it was a lapse in judgment. Just one night. We've been together 23 years and I screwed up. It was never about you. It was me, my selfishness. Please come home. Let's talk. The kids and I are through with the lies, Linda. I just want honesty now. Tell me, is this why they won't answer your calls? Did you truly believe I turned them against you? How dare you bring them into this? She snapped. You had no right. No, Linda. That was your doing. You alienated them with your choices, your emotional absence, your constant need for outside validation, your coldness. That's what pushed them away. You broke this family. You. And if you're wondering, no, I didn't tell them. They told me. Our son and daughter came to me. They saw the signs. They figured it out without a word from me. Imagine how shattered things must have been for your own children to come forward and expose their mother's infidelity. That's how far this went, Linda. And don't even try claiming it was a one-time mistake. You've been emotionally checked out for months. 4 months of silence, distance, empty eyes, of pulling away from me, pretending nothing was wrong, only touching me out of habit or pity. You weren't hiding it. You were just hoping I wouldn't look too closely. You've crushed me, Linda, and now you want to sweep it all away like it was a fleeting lapse in judgment? Don't insult me. It meant nothing, she whispered. It was just physical. I wasn't thinking clearly. It was a stupid, meaningless night. He wasn't important. He never was. I only ever wanted you. Hang on, I said, already scrolling to the next image. This one had come from the day Ryan came home unexpectedly to grab his tools. He heard noises before he even reached the stairs. Out of instinct or heartbreak, he crept to the master bedroom, slid his phone around the corner, and recorded what he saw. It took 2 weeks before he found the strength to show me. 2 weeks of pain and silence. He and Krista finally sat me down, tears pouring down their faces as they revealed the truth. That was the moment I bought the camera. That was when I stopped pretending not to know. I sent her the second photo. Check your messages again, Linda. That's what Ryan saw. That's the moment he realized what was really going on. That picture, that moment, fractured something in him, in both of them. You weren't just unfaithful to me. You shattered our children. Do you understand what they endured, witnessing that? Seeing you like that? With him? Do you honestly believe they can still look at you the same way? That they can ever unsee that? Still respect you? Do you think it was easy for them to tell me? To sit there sobbing, sick to their stomachs, trying to put into words what they'd seen? They didn't want to cause me pain, but you left them no choice. You brought this wreckage into our lives. So don't insult my intelligence or theirs by saying it only happened once. Don't lie again. Not about the business trip where you spent most of it in bed with him. If another lie leaves your lips, it will be the last one I ever listen to. Jack, please, just let me explain, she sobbed. Her voice was different now, no longer defensive, just hollow, full of anguish. I could picture her on the floor, unable to stand beneath the weight of what she'd done, as the devastation she'd caused finally hit her. Oh God, Jack, she cried. I'm so sorry. Please. You have to understand. I lost my grip. I wasn't thinking clearly. That part of my life is behind me now. It was reckless, yes, and fueled by a craving for excitement, by the intoxicating feeling of being wanted again. For a while, it made me feel alive, Like I still mattered to someone. But it was never about love. Never. I didn't mean to hurt you. That was never the goal. Still, I don't know how I missed the harm I was doing. I drifted away from you and the kids without even realizing it. And now, seeing things clearly feels like I'm watching myself from the outside, like I've become a stranger trapped in a terrible dream. I can't stand the person I turned into, because the truth is, I love you. I love our family. Jack, please, don't give up on us. Let me try to repair what I've destroyed. I want to bring us back together. Linda, whatever we had, it's done. You need to come to terms with that. You say you loved me, but I don't believe you anymore. Not after everything you've put me through. Your choices said more than your words ever could. You made it clear that your own needs came before anyone else's suffering. Everything we built now feels corrupted. Was it just a brief fling, or has this been happening for years? Were there others? Should I even trust that our kids are mine? Don't answer. At this point, nothing you say can erase the doubt you've created. Here's what I do know. I'm getting tested. That alone tells you how deep this betrayal runs. There's nothing left here. The damage you caused can't be undone. I gave you my heart, my trust, my whole life, and you threw it away like it meant nothing. Maybe one day, the kids will want to see you again. But as for me, that'll never happen. Not in this lifetime. Jack, please don't say that. I'm begging you. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes. If you want to see other women, I won't stop you. Just, please don't walk away from us. I've been drowning in guilt, hating myself every single day. I tried to stop. I swear I did. I always thought I'd come back to you. It meant nothing, Jack. Just a foolish, meaningless affair. I'm so sorry, please forgive me. Linda, save your apologies. They don't matter anymore. I don't believe you. And honestly, I don't care to. Here's the reality. You'll be served with divorce papers on Monday, at your job. No, please, Jack, don't do this. I'm begging you. Listen closely, Linda. By now, your lover's wife has received copies of the evidence, the photos, the videos. Yes, the ones I took. The ones that show exactly what you were doing with John Monroe, even in our own bedroom. So chances are, that little affair is about to implode too. Maybe the two of you deserve each other after your spouses toss you both out. Jack, please tell me you didn't send those. He has a family, 2 kids. Why would you tear them apart too? Unbelievable, Linda. You still don't see it, do you? I didn't destroy anything. You and John did that. You didn't just ruin our marriage, you wrecked his family too. You think this only affected us? You've damaged 8 lives, and I'm not sure you even understand how deep that pain runs. She started crying, loud, frantic sobs over the phone, her breathing short and ragged. But I wasn't done. And your boss? He's got legal trouble coming his way. I'm filing a suit for alienation of affection. The process server might have to find him in whatever hospital he's landed in. Apparently Karma had other plans for him. Wrong place, wrong time. Word is, Monroe got jumped in an airport parking lot. Smashed knee, crushed testicle. So, don't count on him rescuing you anytime soon. Please, Jack. Enough. Stop being so cruel. I don't even care about him. I want you. I want us back. No, Linda. There's no us to return to. And your career? It's hanging by a thread. I've already sent everything to the president and board of U.S. Commerce Bank. They've got all the evidence, along with notice of the legal actions I'm taking for sexual harassment and alienation of affection. If they're smart, they'll settle. I might suggest they keep you around. But Monroe? He's done. He'll be fired, effective immediately. Jack, do you really hate me that much? Hate? No, Linda. What you did, that was hate. The lies, the cheating, the complete disregard. I gave you everything I had, and you tore it all apart like it was nothing. This is me reclaiming what little self-respect I have left as we go our separate ways. By that point, she was nearly unintelligible, her grief pouring out in strangled cries. Even through the anger, I could still feel it. That part of me that loved her, But beneath that love was something sharper. A thirst for justice, for closure. I didn't just want an apology. I needed her to feel what I felt. Linda, focus. We're nearly done here. Just a few more things. I've withdrawn the $25,000 from our savings. I've already allocated $25,000 toward Krista's tuition. Her next 2 years are covered. I'll support her as best I can moving forward. As for the remainder, you can have the house. The house is now officially yours. If you were to put it on the market today, you'd walk away with close to $100,000 in equity. But Jack, I'm not ready to give up on what we built. I need you to stop whatever it is that's pulled you away and come home. Let's try to mend this. After 23 years together, our love deserves at least that effort, even if I lost my bearings along the way. I didn't rise to the bait. I simply continued. Linda, I said, if you agree to the divorce, the house and everything in it is yours. I'll be taking the final $100,000 from our joint savings, and then it's over. If you're thinking of refusing or trying to fight this, I honestly don't care anymore. I won't be around to argue. Do what you want. It won't affect me now. This is almost over, Linda. There are just a few last things you need to know. If you walk through the house, you'll notice I've already moved out. I took only what was meaningful to me. The rest, it's yours to handle as you see fit. I brought the vacation photos with me. The wedding albums, they're still there. Whether you choose to keep them or toss them into the fire, that's your call. I left my wedding ring on the dresser. You can sell it, destroy it, throw it away, just like you threw away what we had. Ryan's going to stop by soon to grab some of my outdoor gear. He asked to come when you're not there, so don't be alarmed if things look disturbed. He doesn't want to run into you. Krista will be doing the same. She'll be by to collect her things too. She made it clear she's not planning to come back. If her room looks bare, now you know why. One final thing. I sent the photos of you and him to your parents, to mine, and to everyone we both had in our contact lists. You should start thinking about how you're going to explain that. I won't be carrying the blame for the ruin of this marriage. By then, her sobs had become uncontrollable, loud and broken, so much that I feared she might collapse under the weight of it. But this needed closure. Linda, I said quietly, just one more thing. I quit my job last week. I'm leaving the state. I don't know where I'll end up, but I'm going after something better. Someone better. Someone who won't lie to me. Someone who believes in commitment and treats love with the respect it deserves. Someone I might one day trust again. I hope you discover whatever it was you believed I couldn't give you. Don't try to find me. If it's important, speak to Ryan or my attorney. Otherwise, we're done. This chapter is closed. You're out of my life now, and I'm no longer part of yours. There's nothing left between us. Goodbye, Linda. I could still hear her shouting after me. Jack, please don't do this. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Please forgive me. As I ended the call, the reality of everything we'd lost came crashing down on me, and I broke. The grief and the guilt hit harder than I'd expected. I realized then I had crossed a line, and the cruelty of my choices would haunt me for a long time. It wouldn't be easy to forgive myself. As for forgiving her, that felt nearly impossible. I knew the road ahead would be lonely and hard before I could feel whole again. I didn't want bitterness to be my only companion. And as I remembered the stillness of that mountain morning, I reminded myself, beauty still exists. Grace still waits. If I can keep my heart open and keep walking forward toward whatever beginning is meant for me. Our story has come to an end. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the way I tell stories, head over to my channel and check out my other videos. May the force be with you. See you soon, my friend.